If you are watching this video, I'm going to assume that you have made many attempts at starting a legacy challenge in The Sims 4, and maybe you've made a little bit of progress, but you've never completed one. Well, today I'm going to share a 3-step process to help you set up a new legacy challenge save in The Sims 4 that focuses on designing your founding sim and the world around them with intention to find more meaningful gameplay as you get started. So to me, starting a new legacy challenge save should begin with some planning before you even open The Sims 4. So to begin, grab out a pen and paper or some sort of note-taking app and get brainstorming on who your founding sim will be. I like taking a gameplay-focused approach to this, where I think about what gameplay aspects I want to explore first, then I'll build a sim around that. This could include focusing on the content of a specific pack, say if you've just got a new one for example, or focusing on different parts of gameplay that maybe share a theme but come from a few different packs. To help demonstrate this process, I've set up an example legacy challenge save. Here my founder is Kaylee Wintercrest. If you're a retro simmer, you may recognize her, as she is a recreation of the character from the Sims 2 DS game of the same name, and I believe she's also in some other spin-off games too. Now in this example, I decided to recreate Kaylee in The Sims 4 because she is meant to be a super smart nuclear scientist, and again in this example, I fancied playing around with both the science career introduced in the Get to Work expansion pack alongside a bunch of the techie skills like robotics and rocket science. I've also never had a sim attend Foxbury University to complete a specialized STEMmy degree. So as you can see here, I started by identifying an area of gameplay that I wanted to dive into. Then I built a character, or borrowed a character based around that. Because I'm often creatively challenged, I have no shame in creating a sim that is heavily inspired by another fictional character. I've said this on my channel before and I'll say it again. This is The Sims. Bomber Guy and the plagiarism police are not coming for you if you also go down this route. But anyway, then it's time to start thinking about a brief backstory of your founder, aka how did they get to where they are right now as you load into your new save? Well, then we have another question, because where is here? As part of your gameplay planning, try to decide on what world and specific neighborhood you would like your founder to call home for at least the start of the challenge. This might be quite obvious if you're focusing on a specific pack, for example, but otherwise try to think about what makes sense for the gameplay you'll be following. For example, if you're going to start a rags to riches, that might mean living in the wildernessy area of Windenburg. For me, I realized that I've never really played in the world of Evergreen Harbor, which came with Eco Lifestyle. I guess I'm playing through some of Kaylee's earlier life here, as I want to send her off to university, so she's not quite established herself as the nuclear scientist that we find her as in The Sims 2 DS. So anyway, I decided to go with this world, as its clear environmental issues seem like a place that would be ripe for study for a budding scientist, particularly in the super industrial area. Once you've decided on your starting world and home neighborhood, again, I think it's always nice to think about a bit of backstory for your founder. This might be quite clear if you're taking some heavy inspiration from a pre-existing character. However, if you're creating your own founder from scratch and need a bit of inspiration, I'll leave a site below that can help you generate a backstory that you could use as a bit of a jumping off point. Here you can really get as elaborate as you want, but this again is mainly to help you start getting attached to your sim the second you launch into live mode. Lastly, using this backstory and how did we get here questioning, think about your sim's aesthetics and personality, aka what do they look like, what are their traits, likes, dislikes, and aspiration. These should come fairly easily at this point, but as for traits, I always suggest going for a mix that will help achieve the gameplay that you're wanting to explore in the first generation, as well as ones that help you flesh out your founder more as a unique sim. So now let's move on to step 2. These are the bits that I've done in the past before kind of just calling my legacy challenge set up a day and getting into gameplay. Again, only for save abandonment to follow not long after, but hey, it is still necessary. This is when we're actually going to boot up the game, create our sim based on what we've just figured out, and then get moved in to the home lot in the starting neighborhood that we settled on earlier. You're then going to get your house set up. This could be as simple as bulldozing a lot, again if you're going classic rags to riches style, finding a new home that's obviously already built and furnished, or off the gallery, or customizing a lot that's already in the game to fit your founder's personality a little bit better. For me, this meant building a super basic, near empty shipping container to keep in line with the aesthetics of the world and to give me a soft rags to riches start. I also then added in a bunch of lot challenges as well. So once you're happy, head into live mode and then press pause straight away. Here we are gonna check in on the game settings. Here's what I usually go for, but tailor this to your liking. First, I often disable neighborhood stories because otherwise it can make your save an absolute mess over time by giving everyone 100 babies and dogs. I like to have aging enabled for my active household only, so the rest of the world doesn't die around you and repopulate with uggo townies. I like to play on normal lifespan, but short lifespan can definitely help you get through the generations quicker if you're super focused on completion. Lastly, I like to have 14-day seasons if you have that pack installed. And speaking of seasons, next we're gonna hit exit on the settings and head into the calendar. Your mileage with this step will vary, again depending on whether or not you have seasons installed, but now is a good time to get your holidays organized. I typically like to have 2 holidays per season, again going with the 14-day seasons. I've kept the default Sims 4 ones but shifted their dates slightly, and I've also added Egg Day for spring, or Easter, and then mirroring the Sims 3 holidays, I add in Leisure Day for summer and Spooky Day in the autumn. These are kind of basic, but I know other players have come up with loads of creative holiday ideas if you fancy going deeper with this step. Moving on to step 3 now then. Again, this is the part that somehow I just forget to do when setting up a legacy challenge in the past, and I think it's a big reason why I've got bored with previous attempts really quickly. So now we're gonna head back into Manage World, and working from your home neighborhood outwards, you're gonna start giving the world a bit of a makeover. This can be so time consuming and such an overwhelming process if you're trying to tackle the entire world or every world that you have installed, which is why I suggest starting with your home neighborhood, because this is what you're going to be seeing most of the time day to day. So now you're going to think back to the gameplay planning you did back in stage 1 and think about the types of lots and neighborhoods you will want to help achieve that gameplay in a more fun and meaningful way. Again, in my example, I'm starting rags to riches style on and off the grid lot with the simple living lot trait as well. My founder is going to be attending university to get a science degree, then moving into the scientist career. So here's what I changed. In my home neighborhood, I added a few community lots that are connected to the grid so my sim can get work done. These included a cool cafe and a science lab themed library lot that was specifically made for Evergreen Harbour. I also added a bar so that this world had some semblance of nightlife. For the rest of the save, I replaced the default Foxbury Commons building so that the lot is a lot more exciting when I visit it. When my sim enters the scientist career, I will definitely be replacing the science lab, as I've seen the default one a good few times. And finally, I added a household of sims that was designed to become NPCs in the scientist career, so we would eventually have some cool co-workers to meet. These are just a few ideas for what I did here, but again, think about what makes sense for the gameplay that you want to mess around with. If you're playing a build a restaurant empire style of gameplay, you could add a bunch of families that own competing restaurants and even go into each of their households to set them up so that they actually own the restaurants and stuff like that. Really, just remember here that the gallery is your best friend, and to stop customizing when you start getting a little bit tired of it all. But with that, you should be all ready to start your new legacy challenge in The Sims 4. I hope this process helps you find some more meaningful and intentional gameplay as you kick off this new challenge, and that you hopefully find a little bit more success in this one than you have in the past. Definitely let me know all about your founders and their stories in the comments below, and other than that, thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.